Guys, you all know this story headline already, and I actually haven't looked deep into it, but I know already from the story that's been going viral as I've heard it, that it's pretty based. It's pretty cool. I agree with this headline a lot. Hackers, I should specify actually, gay furry hackers, join the fight to inform the public about Project 2025. It looks like hacker activists have joined the fight to shine a light on Project 2025, the far-right blueprint for reshaping the government to achieve ultra-conservative goals if Donald Trump is elected president in November. Google searches for Project 2025 have skyrocketed in recent weeks, likely due in part to celebrities including Taraji P. Henderson at the BET Awards last month, drawing attention to the extremist plan. Well, that's good of them to do. A group of hackers has joined the effort to pull back the curtain on Project 2025. On Tuesday, the cybersecurity news outlet Cyberscoop reported that a collective comprised of self-described gay furry hackers that calls itself SiegeSec gained access to Heritage Foundation data. Specifically, the collective said it gained access to a website hosting content produced by members of the Heritage Foundation, the organization that assembled Project 2025 with the help of several members of Trump's former administration. Self-described gay furry hackers SiegeSec said it released the data in response to Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, a set of proposals that aim to give Donald Trump a set of ready-made policies to implement if he wins this fall's election. Its authors describe it as an initiative to lay the groundwork for a White House more friendly to the right. The data reviewed by Cyberscoop includes Heritage Foundation blogs and material related to the Daily Signal, a right-wing media site affiliated with Heritage. The data was created between 2007 and November 2022. The group says it gained access to the data on July 2nd and released it to provide transparency to the public regarding who exactly is supporting Heritage. A spokesperson for the group who goes by the online handle Vore told Cyberscoop in an online chat on Tuesday. A SiegeSec spokesperson who goes by Vore told Cyberscoop that the data the group accessed includes full names, email addresses, passwords, and usernames of people associated with Heritage. But a Heritage spokesperson denied that the organization was hacked, telling Cyberscoop that an organized group stumbled upon a 2-year-old archive of the Daily Signal website that was available on a public-facing website owned by a contractor. Nonetheless, Heritage folks don't sound happy about this data dump. The Daily Dot shared excerpts of angry text messages sent from Mike Howell, a former Trump administration official and the executive director of the Heritage Foundation's oversight project, to Vore. Howell confirmed the authenticity of the text to the Daily Dot via X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. No one likes to be targeted by hackers, so Howell's apparent discomfort with the situation is understandable. But it's unsurprising that openly promoting an authoritarian agenda could draw the ire of many people, including so-called gay furry hackers. So this shouldn't surprise you at all. They came out of the woodwork and they exposed this stuff. Now, whether it was already publicly facing data or they actually managed to breach something, whether or not that's true, doesn't really matter, because this feud has actually evolved a bit over the last 3 days to now we're at the point where the Heritage Foundation executive owner or some exec there is currently like threatening them and going absolutely psycho mode against them. It's actually very funny. Like, he's clearly quite upset. Aw, did furries make you mad? Did the furries troll you? Project 2025 creator threatens gay furry hackers in disturbing texts. After, quote, gay furry hackers breached the think tank behind the extreme Project 2025 agenda, its executive director is spewing venom. Self-described gay furry hackers behind a group dubbed SiegeSec on Wednesday released text exchanges between Heritage Foundation executive Mike Howell and a member of the hacker group. The text followed a leak of nearly 2 gigabytes of data from the Daily Signal, the Heritage Foundation's blog site. In the text, Howell appears apologetically humorless, oscillating between threats to expose the hackers and hopes for violence against them. Howell is a columnist for the Daily Signal, the site whose subscriber data SiegeSec leaked amid a spree of other leaks. The hacked data includes the full names, email addresses, passwords, and usernames of people associated with the Heritage Foundation. One spokesperson of the Gay Furry Hacktivist group said, in order to shed transparency, we read that line before. They're using that same quote a lot. Quote, are you aware that you won't be able to wear a furry tiger costume when you're getting pounded in the ass in the federal prison I put you in next year? Howell asked a member of Siege Sect who identified themselves as Vio. Dude, hey guys, it totally wasn't, they totally didn't manage to get any private info or hack us. It was all public data, but also sending death threats, and you're going to be raped in prison threats to the people who did the hacking. Awesome job for the furries for exposing the authoritarian, dictatorial Project 2025. Indeed. Please share widely, Howell told the hacker group after they asked if they could release their text exchanges with Howell. I hope the word spreads as fast as the STDs do in your degenerate furry community. Meow. :3, Vio responded. Quote, bestiality is a weird sin. It shows you've gone a few clicks too far in trying to satiate your deviant appetite, Howell continued. Vio cheekily replied, what's your opinion on Vore? Howell elevated the text exchange, which he confirmed to the Daily Dot as authentic by posting lyrics to Eminem's The Way I Am. What? Wait, what? He quote tweets it with the song lyrics, and I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why wouldn't... I don't... Okay. You totally popped off there, man. You totally popped off. During their conversation, Howell promised to reveal the identity of the hackers, declaring, quote, closeted furries will be presented to the world for the degenerate perverts they are, unquote. This proved unintimidating as Vio reassured him none of their members would be identified and that their hack is small potatoes compared to the Heritage Foundation's aspirations. Quote, the rights your org violates will be 10 times worse than any crime I've committed, Vio told Howell. Quote, you do not follow God if you use religion as a crutch to hate people. While I hide behind a screen to fight for my rights, you hide behind religion to attack the rights of others. Following the release of the text exchanges, Howell took to X, formerly Twitter, to falsely accuse someone reviewing the leak of being involved. Howell also declared, quote, complete and total victory that he, quote, forced the gay furry hackers to disband, in all caps, after the group posted that their Heritage hack would be their last. Siege Sect has claimed credit for over 2 years of hacktivism against far-right sites, as well as hacking NATO twice and a nuclear lab to demand it create cat girls. Oh wait, that was them. Oh god, I remember that story. Siege Sect stated they hacked the Heritage Foundation's daily signal in rejection of Project 2025, which they describe as an authoritarian Christian nationalist plan to reform the United States government. The hack is part of the group's campaign against anti-trans organizations and websites dubbed #OpTransRights. While claiming the Heritage hack would be their last, Siege Sect also states that in addition to releasing their text with Howell, they have an extra surprise for him coming soon. Guys, maybe the story's not over. Are they saving the best reveal for last, maybe? That's interesting. Do we have any more recent news, like maybe from today? Any updates? No, it seems not. Coming or coming soon? Coming soon. Yeah, basically the executive, runner of the Heritage Foundation had a meltdown in DMs and got trolled by the owner, or by one of the hackers at Siege Sec. He just full-on melted down. You know what's so funny about this? What I really love about this is that even up till today, there's this, really toxic culture around shitting on furries. Listen, I'm not a furry. I'm not going to pretend like I understand the furry thing. What I do understand is that there's, different types of furry engagement. There's people who are just furries in a very safer work way, for lack of a better thing to call it. And then there are people who are furries in the realm of, like, kink and sex and stuff like that. I am not into either thing, but I understand that these are not necessarily one and the same, and I understand that, like, there, even within these communities, there's an even smaller portion that is responsible for any of the genuinely negative, morally bad things that furries are associated with. You know, like, at the end of the day, like, even if they're fucking each other, furries are just people wearing suits, right? They're people. They're consenting human people wearing suits. They're just getting it off in a way that I'm not exactly down for. But hey, tolerance, right? Like, if you have a problem, if you don't have a problem with gay people doing whatever they want in the privacy of their own bedroom, as long as it's consensual, then you shouldn't have a problem with furries, right? And so there's this really bizarre double standard, though, right? Like, even people who are not homophobic, who don't, like, make it their business to just shit on the concept of how cringe or gross or weird they find, like, even kink or gay sex or straight kink, whatever it may be. God, my nose. There's still this, like, very strong culture and community around shitting on furries. Even I, when I was younger, was, like, very anti-furry. I mean, even go back to a couple years ago, and I made jokes about how furries are cringe all the time. That's just kind of, like, worn off over time, because it's just very, like... At a certain point, I feel like making people feel bad for doing nothing wrong stops being funny, you know? And it's slow and steady, but eventually you just get to the point where, like, making a mean joke, comment, or even, like, just giving someone shit for something that's cringe but isn't hurting anybody becomes more cringe than the cringe itself, you know what I mean? And I know several friends that are in the same position, where they themselves, just like I, used to enjoy, like, making fun of furries and stuff, but now it's gotten to the point where listening to somebody make fun of furries is more cringe than any furry could realistically be. I don't know if this is just me and my friend group, and this friend group in question is not, like, super left-wing or anything. I mean, they are left-leaning, but they're not, like, super political, right? Like, they're like, when they get political, they're left-wing, but outside of that, they're just normies. But even they, like, find making fun of furries to be, like, cringe now. But there's still this very strong culture around making fun of them and shitting on them, and I mean, people do things like go undercover at furry conventions just to, like, film and, like, low-key stalk and, I guess, sort of, like, document, like, furries as if they're actual animals. It's a very, like, the joke is like, oh, you wear a fursuit of a dog, then we'll dehumanize you like a dog, right? And it's just this very toxic motivated line of humor and culture online. And I'm starting to see it kind of die off a little bit. Like, obviously, we're not talking about, like, when people have a problem with, like, the furries that are into cub shit. That's, like, pedophilia. That's a problem, but that's not even close to a substantial part of the furry community, from my understanding. I like videos where non-furries go to furry conventions with no prior intention to cause harm. They always end up having fun, wholesome times. I imagine they would. It seems like, you know, furries would be generally nice to hang around with when they're at a place that's, like, for them. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, though, I find it interesting how, the right, which has probably had the monopoly on shitting on furries for quite some time now, you know, they get, like, a little bit, like, even a teaspoon of what they want to dish out to, you know, the groups that they despise. They receive even a teaspoon of that for themselves, and it causes them to melt down and send, like, death threats and texts. And like, post song lyrics on Twitter, like, in some manic episode type situation. I don't know. And furry people are not that bad. I dated a furry. I've never dated a furry, and I've known a few furries IRL, but, I mean, yeah, furries are generally pretty good people. From, like, you probably wouldn't know. Unless they tell you. Yeah, once again, the right are always the real snowflakes. The whole, like, special snowflake, am I gonna make you melt, are you offended thing? The reason they do that is because they're that easy to offend and cause to melt down, and they think you are too. Don't let yourself be. Yeah. Regardless, though, I'm really curious to keep an eye out on this story. I want to keep up on it and see what this last thing they plan to release about the executive, like owner, runner, or whatever. I forget what the title was of Heritage Foundation. I wonder what's going to happen. So for those who don't know, Project 2025 is like truly evil. I'm going to go to their website right now. Let's look at their policy. Policy agenda. Look at this. Section 1. Taking the reins of government. White House office. From popular culture to academia, the American presidency has long been a prominent fixture of the national imagination. Naturally, so since is it the beating heart of our nation's power and prestige. It has played, for instance, a feature role in innumerable movies and television shows and has been prodded, analyzed, and a lot of this is just useless fluff, but it basically gets into, like, laying out how they're going to replace everybody in the White House with specifically Trump loyalists, right? And then, of course, we're setting up the whole Trump legal immunity thing. Yeah. Ugh. This Project 2025 stuff is, it's a pretty big worry. Pretty big worry. God, I wish their policy list was more straightforward and not like paragraphs of fluff, you know what I mean? So here's the closest to a list they have. Advancing education freedom. Empowering families to choose among a diverse set of education options is key to reform and improved outcomes, and it can be achieved without establishing a new federal program. For example, portability of existing federal education spending to fund families directly, or allowing federal tax credits to encourage voluntary contributions to K-12 education savings accounts managed by charitable nonprofits could significantly advance education choice. Basically, what they just said there is they're defunding the school system, and they also want to provide parents control of whether or not their kids learn about evolution or creationism. Providing education choice for federal children. Congress has a special responsibility to children who are connected to military families who live in the District of Columbia or are members of sovereign tribes. Responsibility for serving these students should be housed in agencies that are already serving these families. Restoring state and local control over education funding. As Washington begins to downsize its intervention in education, existing funding should be sent to states as grants. I love how that's how they call it. As Washington begins to downsize its intervention in education. That's what they plan to call it whenever Trump takes power. Full control, enabling states to put federal funding toward any lawful education purpose under state law, treating taxpayers like investors in federal student aid, protecting the federal student loan portfolio from predatory politicians, safeguarding civil rights. Enforcement of civil rights should be based on a proper understanding of those laws, rejecting gender ideology and critical race theory. That's straight up like part of their policy set up for 2024 election. Congress, stopping executive overreach. Congress should set policy, not presidents, through pen and phone executive orders, and not agencies, through regulations and guidance. National emergency declarations should expire absent express congressional authorization within 60 days after the date of declaration. They want to make sure that they've got control over future Democrats as well. Should a Democrat ever see the presidency again? People aren't going to take it seriously, though. I mean, not on the left. We're going to get into it in a moment. That's the next segment I plan to do is, the Biden derangement syndrome stuff. But this is real dangerous, serious stuff, and people need to be talking about it more. I'm glad it's getting more attention already, but it needs to continue. More attention to this. Regardless, if you enjoyed this segment, and you want to see more from me and you want to support the channel, please consider dropping a like. Whether you're watching live or this is a video or a VOD, every thumbs up on my channel's content really does go a long way in pushing my content in the algorithm out to brand new people. The channel's been blowing up and growing like crazy lately, so it does seem like you guys have been keeping up with that, so I want to thank you. Everyone who's been doing that, please keep it up. It really does help. In real time, too. It's not like, oh, in a month you'll see a result. It's like, thanks for the likes. The next video blew up in the algorithm. It's that quick. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you as well for every sub, the rung bell icon, your comments down below, they have the similar effect of helping the channel. Follow my social medias, linked down below in the description. Join my fan Discord, totally free to join. It's the main hub of my community, and we also host watch parties, game events, and call-in streams there. And I announce all my new uploads and streams so you won't miss anything. And of course, don't forget, if you want to directly support me financially and you can afford it, please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch at the Streamlabs link down below. But regardless of how you support me, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.